This is the Jock Spin-Off Show. Hey guys, thanks for listening on Patreon here. You're with the Jock, also known as Anthony. And this is kind of a new thing I'm doing. I'm going to just be having conversations with different people. The working title is Mano y Mano with Anthony, but if I decide to change that and you click on this and it's a different title, then obviously we're not using that title. The title doesn't fucking matter. Today I'm here with Humphrey Ching, part of the Jock and Nerd Nation, and does things, art and shit. Humphrey, thanks for jumping on here.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem, man. So tell the audience, I guess, just give the audience a quick synopsis of who you are and what you do.
I'm a local artist in Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
I'm actually a full-time graphic designer. I actually do a lot of conventions. Well, I do one convention with your buddy John Bellotti.
Yeah, John Bellotti, who's been on the Jock and Nerd podcast more than a few times now.
Yeah, he's always been trying to get me on the show, but me and John do a MegaCon every year in Orlando, and I kind of got him into doing the con stuff too, because he saw me doing it, and he was like asking me, how would he get into doing cons and stuff? So I kind of like guided him, I guess, if you want to say.
Did you meet him online, or did you know him before that?
Actually, we went to college together.
Oh, no shit.
We're college buddies. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he had mentioned. Oh, go ahead. Huh? I was gonna say he had mentioned that it's funny because he's the guy that draws the Asian stuff, like Godzilla,
yeah.
And then you're the Asian guy, Humphrey Ching, Chinese, right?
Yeah, I'm Chinese.
And you do all the white people shit.
Yeah. I do all the comic book and movie stuff. So
nice.
The funny thing is, I do a lot of like the traditional American style of art too, and he does kind of like he does more like not so much traditional Asian, but it's like he does more, yeah, I guess like more Asian type, like old school looking, Asian movie posters, I guess. And I do like the American movie posters, like type style.
Right.
I guess. Yeah.
He said you guys basically like were born in each other's bodies. Like you draw like all, like I said, the American stuff, like you mentioned the American stuff, and he's basically the Asian guy just trapped in an Italian's body.
Yeah. It's so funny because like he watches all of, like the Hong Kong movies and stuff, and I hate all that stuff. Like I didn't grow up with it. Like every time I watch a Hong Kong movie, I'm not really into it.
No.
And he's like all into that stuff, but then when it's all about like the Italian mob and stuff like that, like mafia movies and stuff,
yeah,
like I'm all about that stuff.
Yeah.
So like it's funny because like I think he just recently watched The Godfather for the first time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we have this like kind of like little joke that we'll kind of like bust on each other about like, oh, at least I watched, this movie, and he'll be like, oh, have you seen The Killer yet, or something like that, So yeah.
That brings up a good point in terms of, or a good starting point in terms of why I guess I wanted you to talk to you, because I remember you joining the Facebook group, and like shortly after, and maybe a month or two after, Marvel announced they were doing a Shang-Chi movie. Is that how you say it? Chai or Kai?
No, Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi, there you go. Sorry, see? My half Asian side is needs a little work. Shang-Chi movie. And then you came out and were like, this is not what I want. And I was of the opinion, personally, I was like, this is good. Like this is what I mean, this isn't exactly what we need, but I'm happy. And you were like straight up like, this is not what I want to see. So just kind of go into that and tell me like your perspective on why you felt so strongly, or if you still feel that way, or where your head's at with a Shang-Chi movie.
Yeah, like the reason why I don't feel strongly about a Shang-Chi movie is because, to me, if you want to represent an Asian character, I would think that Marvel should, if they're going to start changing races of certain characters for comic book characters, perfect examples like Jason Momoa as Aquaman.
Sure, DC, but yeah, the point stands.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, for all the superhero movies, not just like, Marvel, but for like DC, Jason Momoa as Aquaman is a perfect example because they didn't get your typical blonde hair, blue eye, white guy to play Aquaman because, Aquaman was always kind of like a character that people made fun of. But then they got this guy, Jason Momoa, who people sort of respect, because he's kind of like popular with the ladies, I guess, because all the girls like him. But at the same time, he's not your typical like blonde hair, blue eye, white superhero. Again,
no,
it's actually someone that's from a different culture, and it actually makes sense because with the whole Polynesian, Hawaiian island.
Yeah, it makes sense that this guy might be of the water, I guess.
Yeah,
a little.
So
I could see the connection there.
Yeah. For a character like Shang-Chi was always kind of like your typical, like, stereotypical character.
He's like your Bruce Lee knockoff, right?
Yeah, he's your typical Bruce Lee type character, like, archetype, where he's just like, I mean, the title of his comic is called, Shang-Chi the Master of Kung Fu.
Right.
So it's like, who cares, because to me, it's like, he's not really the Master of Kung Fu if Iron Fist is the Iron Fist. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It would make more sense if he was the Iron Fist because if he's really the master of Kung Fu.
Right.
But that's the thing. Shang-Chi never, he was never kind of like put out there as like a superhero, like a guy that, some people will say like Bruce Lee to them was a superhero. But, but most of those people who say that are usually not Asian. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
And I'm not going to lie, Bruce Lee was a great role model for Asians, all around.
Yeah, for sure.
Because he's pretty much like the Martin Luther King for Asians, Well,
so he broke he broke the mold of like,
yeah,
he was Asian, like he was Chinese, but he was also, like he was good looking, and like he was someone that you could look up to, and he was good looking, and girls wanted him, and guys wanted to be like him, and he he brought that genre over to America. It wasn't just the nerdy Asian guy, or like up to that point, a lot of the Asian characters were just getting defeated by white guys, and he was like the lead.
Yeah, exactly. And he's the guy that, that inspires a lot of people, not just Asian people, but like
just everybody,
everybody, and he wasn't just sticking up for Chinese people; he was sticking for all Asians,
right?
So it's like with that, it was like he was a great guy, but the problem is, it's just like now we live in like today, and it's like we don't need another Bruce Lee archetype hero character because every kind of archetype kind of hero character out there is always a Bruce Lee out there. Like every kind of video game character there's always someone molded after Bruce Lee,
Right.
And if you can change the race of certain other superheroes, why don't you do that with like one of your main staple characters from Marvel? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Like don't give us like a B character, give us someone.
Yeah, Shang-Chi is like I would go like a C character.
He's not even a C, man. He's like, he's down at the bottom. Like
no one. He's pretty niche. I mean, I'm only familiar with Shang-Chi because I got back into comics within like the past 10 years, and he was in one of the Avengers comics. He was like on the team. But before that, I mean, I had a very, very passing knowledge of Shang-Chi. If I could just interject a little. The reason why I kind of was into it is I was just like, finally, at least we have something. And it wasn't ideally, And again, I'm half Filipino, so it's not something that relates to me totally. But at this point in Hollywood, I'll take anything that's Asian, just because there's not a lot. I can't be picky at this point. So when the Marvel was like, we're doing this, I'm like, you know what? Finally, we're gonna get someone that kind of looks like me on screen. And yeah, it's not ideal, but I'm also like, see, I liked Black Panther a lot, and I think Marvel will figure out a way to make him not just a Bruce Lee knockoff, but something unique and different. So I'm just more or less excited to see what Marvel will do with him, even though he's not the ideal Asian character. I don't even really know if there is an ideal Asian character unless we switch up the race on somebody.
Yeah, see, one of the characters that a lot of people are like rooting for, if they do like switch the race
right.
of a character, which kind of makes sense because in the like, you know, typically like technically he's a mutant, and then like, you know, you don't really know what their race looks like is Namor,
right?
You know, and in the comics they always kind of, some people think that they draw him kind of Asian looking, you know. So I mean, he's a perfect character that would be perfect for if they decide to do an Asian version of Namor. I mean, it's kind of funny because I say Namor, but then like Aquaman, they changed the race of Aquaman too.
it'd be almost too on the nose. But yeah, no, that'd be kind of funny if they ended up changing their water character too. I remember you posting that, and the only thing that I think that's holding them back from even using Namor is I think he's signed with Universal the rights to the character.
Yeah,
so they'd have to figure out a way to play nice with Universal.
Well, they already have the Hulk. So.
Yeah, the only thing is they're not able to release, or they're not doing solo Hulk movies.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing. But I agree, Namor would be a great choice, and he's always been kind of drawn as more or less Asian looking.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like the way they would bring in Namor would be when they bring in the Fantastic Four, and he would technically be the villain for the second movie. You know,
that'd be awesome.
And if they brought him in to the second movie, you know, that would be a perfect way. And then like if they made a deal with Universal like they did with Spider-Man, you know, so they can make a movie of Namor or something like that. Then
it would be cool to see Namor as an Asian character, because he is a lot of the things that stereotypical Asians aren't. Like he's a leader. Mm-hmm. He's not a martial artist, really.
Yeah.
But he's also he's just a big douchebag, and most Asians stereotypically are just like the nerd or the martial artist or the subservient character.
That's what like people always talk about, how like there's, you know, everybody wants diversity and stuff.
Right.
The way to write diversity in comics is to treat every race like a normal person. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like the way Captain America acts, that's the way every like race should act. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I get you, yeah.
Like you shouldn't bring in any stereotypes in a way. Like you could bring in some culture, but don't bring stereotypes, because when you bring in a stereotype, you know, like sometimes it might offend people, you know, and then it just kind of like, you know, it just kind of, you know, labels the character.
Right.
You know?
When you bring in a stereotype, it automatically points to, okay, this is a different colored person now.
Yeah, exactly. And like with Black Panther, the reason why Black Panther was like everybody enjoyed Black Panther was they didn't treat Black Panther like he was a stereotype. They brought in culture, but at the same time, they treated him like if he was like equally like to every type of race out there. Like he was as like high class and high, like, you know, like, and as like rich as like Tony Stark or something like that, you know. He was the same type of character, but you know, he wasn't like doing any type of African, you know, stereotype, like, which in the comics they kind of do that, you know. In the comics, like what Wakanda, like I think they're still kind of like, you know, like the way they draw them and stuff.
They still dress like they're
Yeah, they're like
native, like primitive people.
Yeah, like what do you? Yeah, like they're still like like in
like
a
if they
tribe or
like
something.
I know you're like before, like we know I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like they're indigenous or something like
Right. Like they haven't evolved because of the technology or haven't changed their ways.
But like in Black Panther, they changed that. They still kept their culture, but they didn't live like they were primitive.
Right.
That's what made the movie such a great movie. You know.
You had an interesting take on Black Panther too, in that you were like, you didn't think it was amazing. I think it was. I don't want to speak for you, but it seemed like you didn't think it was the best movie ever, which is fair. But then you were also like, Killmonger was great because it was just Michael B. Jordan acting like Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, because Michael B. Jordan is just a likable actor. Like there are actors out there that just like that do characters really well, and it's just like personal favorite of mine is Tom Hardy. I could watch every Tom Hardy movie out there, and I'm
even Venom.
Like, yeah, and I'm and I love the movie because of Tom Hardy.
Wow,
because he's just like he's one of my favorite actors, and like even the movie sucked, like I'll still like it because, well, I probably won't like the movie, but I'll like
his performance.
Yeah, I'll like his performance because I just love him as an actor. He's just like a really good actor. Same thing with Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan's like a really good actor, and he's really likable. And I think people kind of confuse the two sometimes because people are comparing it to like Heath Ledger's Joker, which Heath Ledger kind of like
that's a different level.
Yeah, he stepped out of his body and became the Joker. Like with Michael B. Jordan, it's like his character was no different than Creed, but he was playing the evil Creed. So it's like that's the thing. Like but I think a lot of people are kind of biased at times about the movie because of all the hype. But as a villain, he wasn't that anything like like spectacular to me. Like like I didn't think his character was like really like breaking any like
but yeah, like any like he wasn't doing anything that was like changing the game or anything like that.
Yeah, because I mean, I think his performance was amazing. Like his performance is always good, But as a character, he was just a typical bad guy, Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of people. Well, I mean, I agree with you. A lot of people enjoyed Michael B. Jordan because he's just Michael B. Jordan, and he's charismatic as hell on screen. I also think one of the big things for me that I'm like thinking about Black Panther is he, without his character, the movie's still, it's a fun movie. It's got good design and Black Panther at times, and the supporting cast are cool. But he brings the whole role of that character, besides being the villain, is he brings that American perspective, and you can kind of see the world through his eyes and relate to it because he brings the American perspective. Whereas Wakanda is this fictional nation in Africa that most of the American audience and audience around the world never lived in Africa, so they can't relate to any of that. So I think he's more of the character that inevitably you're going to relate to because he's bringing the American perspective of racism, systematic racism to this film, and I think that's why a lot of people enjoyed that because it's the American's perspective, and it's just something that we haven't touched in the Marvel movies yet.
The funny thing is actually it'd be like the opposite. I that's how I think because like you look at all the other countries out, like a third world country out there, and that's probably the way they think of us in America because in America, we live so civilized and we have so much like like a lot of people would say us Americans are like spoiled.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Because we have so much, freedom, and like technology and,
entitlement
like,
too.
And like some of these people who live in third world country are trying to just live to survive, So it's
totally.
So I think it's like it's kind of like the mirrored, perspective of like both sides,
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it's like in a way, it's almost like Wakanda is more like that's how I saw it, and then like, because I mean, yeah, like Killmonger came from like, the streets of the ghetto and stuff like that, and
right,
and it like him growing up having no like father, or no parent, to like
that's your typical ghetto, stereotypical ghetto life.
Yeah, so it's like, it's pretty much, it kind of like also what do you call it? I'm having a brain fart. Sorry.
I make you nervous. I know. Oh, that's okay.
Like yeah, it kind of speaks to both worlds, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's like
I read an interesting article, and we briefly touched on it on the main podcast. But this movie, Black Panther, didn't do great anywhere like in any other markets. I mean, it did okay, but like especially like China is the big market where a lot of films are trying to get money out of. And I don't know if this is typical, but I read a review where they were like, yeah, the Chinese people, a lot of them, they did like an interview with people after, and they felt like Black Panther was just another American propaganda film. They didn't even really like, it didn't hit them the same ways that it hit us.
That's weird.
Yeah.
'Cause I thought that they loved it because like
yeah, maybe I read something, maybe just one article I read.
Yeah, because I remember like they were doing a lot of videos like of people coming out of the theater after Black Panther, after watching Black Panther, and all the people in China were like saying that this movie was amazing. But that's weird. Like I don't know, maybe it's like, but I mean that's the thing. That's the other thing too. Like that's why I think sometimes things can't get too like some people might get offended by me saying this, but like some things, some people like some things don't work if you get too cultural.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with a worldwide audience.
Yeah, because some people just can't relate, and if they can't relate, they don't even they don't care,
Right.
And it's like, but if you have a character like Batman or Iron Man or something like that, then people relate to it, right away because they can see themselves as a rich guy.
Right. Yeah.
With all these toys, you know what I'm saying?
I hear you. No, one quick stat for you. Black Panther made $105 million in China, which isn't bad. But in comparison, Aquaman made almost $300 million in China.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you why.
Yeah, for sure. Tell me.
I'll tell you why, because, and this is a lot of this is part of me knowing, because I'm like I like me.
Are you Chinese?
Yeah, because I'm Chinese. Because I know, like people that I know, and like my family and stuff, and like just being around Chinese people, I know this growing up, that like Chinese people, first of all, they don't like sci-fi, they don't like Star Wars and stuff like that, like space battles. They're not into that stuff because, I mean, like I don't think Star Wars does good in China, And then the other thing is the Asian culture, not just Chinese, but like I think all Asians, like they're more into like mythological fantasy type stuff. They're not really into like stuff that's too much thinking. They like big special effects and like just a lot of like maybe giant monsters or something like that,
right?
And it's like something like that's why they like giant robots and stuff like that, or Godzilla, perfect example, like our buddy John. It's like
I like Godzilla too. It's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, like with Godzilla and all these, like they like giant monsters, they like giant robots, stuff like that. But I mean, I think that's the furthest they'll go sci-fi with.
Right.
But other than that, it's like it's like basically Aquaman was full of like special effects, and if it has like crazy special effects, that's kind of like what the Asian culture likes, and they like giant, like like creatures and stuff. Because going back like maybe a couple of years ago, there was this movie that a lot of people got mad about, that Great Wall movie, which I actually saw, and I thought it was pretty cool. I actually liked the movie, but but that movie was I think it was made in China too, right? It was a Chinese movie.
Was it?
Yeah, which is funny that people in America got mad. But it was made by Chinese people.
Let me look it up.
Because it had
all these. Yeah, it was. It's a Chinese film.
Yeah, and it had all these like Chinese actors in it. So it's like, it was kind of funny. But if you watch that movie, it's all fantasy and big giant special effects, So it's like, that's the kind of movies that they like. And the other thing that probably helped it too is that James Wan did the movie. So,
that definitely helps.
Yeah,
I was looking up the stats too, and you're absolutely right. So the first Star Wars: The Force Awakens did 142 in China, which isn't bad. But then the next one, The Last Jedi, did only 42 million in China.
Wow.
And then Solo only did 16 million in China.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I mean, I guess Star Wars just doesn't click over in China.
No, they don't. It doesn't.
Let me look up real quick. Cause did you see Rogue One?
Oh, I love Rogue One.
I like Rogue One a lot too, and that one is like features a couple Chinese actors. That one did 69 million in China, so not bad for. Okay.
I think Donnie Yen.
Donnie Yen is in it.
Was a big help.
Yeah, I was like, they must have casted these guys because they wanted to get the Donnie Yen is in it. Jiang Wen, isn't it? Am I saying his name right?
Yeah, he's probably somebody that John would know. I don't know who that guy is.
I know that we both know who Donnie Yen is. He was good in it. I liked his character a lot in that, actually. I liked that he was like worshipping the Force as if it was like a god.
My only like gripe about that movie was I think it was a big missed opportunity. Like Donnie Yen should have like at the last moment busted out a lightsaber, and then he should have been.
Oh, that would have been awesome if like he had been praying to the Force and it gave him something.
Or he was just secretly a Jedi that nobody knew because because they were all in hiding.
Right.
And to have like your first, like that would have been like something really like awesome to give to the Chinese audience. Like, that the first blind Jedi on screen was Donnie Yen, But we never see Donnie Yen with a lightsaber, so it was, to me, I felt like it was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, that would have been really cool.
Yeah.
How are you first generation Chinese? Or first were your parents born in here or out there?
No, they were born in China. I was
You're the first one?
Yeah, I was the first one.
Were you born here?
Yeah, I was born in New York.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Do you know what Mandarin or Cantonese?
I know Mandarin.
Nice.
I can understand Shanghainese. My
is that a different?
It's a different dialect.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What did your parents think of you going into art? Or is art you're a graphic designer, so art is your full-time thing.
Yeah, I do art. I actually design challenge coins for the military and the service department.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What is a challenge coin?
It's like those coins that they give to the military, like the soldiers when they come back from, their like service and stuff. And then
these are cool.
Yeah, and then sometimes they'll give it to like a general if he's retiring or something like that.
That's dope. How the fuck how does one get there? How many people did you kill and to get to this point?
I just applied.
Oh, okay. Just like any other job. All right.
Yeah, they just like found me, and then they liked my portfolio and my background. So
were your parents always supportive of you moving into this direction for a career?
I think they were happy that I picked a career.
Were you indecisive?
No, I was kind of like a little, like, I was a bad kid back in the days. I did
Really?
a lot
A Chinese kid, a bad kid? That's impossible, dude.
I'm the if like when you get to know me better, the running joke is like I'm like the like defected Chinese guy or Asian guy because I'm like bad at math. I'm like I don't have like a like I'm not a doctor or a lawyer or something.
Right. You're not something that would make the stereotypical Asian parents proud.
Yeah, but you know what's funny about that?
Yeah.
If a lot of comic book guys and artists that I hang out with
Yeah.
that what you call it in this same like circle, it's always weird. It's like we're all the outcast of our like race or people or something like that. Because I have friends like perfect example, John again, like.
Right.
John is like totally different from like your typical Italian dude. Like he doesn't like care for like a lot of Italian like movies and stuff like that.
Right.
And
I mean, he is definitely different in terms of like his love for Japanese and Asian culture.
yeah, and he doesn't hang out with like that he doesn't kind of like he's not that typical stereotypical Italian guy that you would think
Right.
So
It's is it, you think like this is my theory, like a lot of people that get into art end up being considered the outcast because just our culture today doesn't reward you for being an artist in that like unless you're like the best artist ever. Like there's no like you either have to be like world renowned or like our culture right now doesn't reward that. Like it's just looked upon as like you're just wasting your time or you're playing around.
I think now, like in the last couple of years, like people get this impression that now we're starting to get rewarded, but like if you're a real professional artist and you're a real artist, in reality, we still know we don't get appreciated, but for some reason right now, because there's some kind of like weird art movement that came around like the last couple of years, like
it's because rich people are buying. Well, and that's because hipsters are getting into art.
Yeah, because I think hipsters like they didn't want to find a real job, so
stupid millennial hipsters.
Yeah, they just kind of want to like go out and do art or something,
right,
and be creative or something,
and have their parents pay for it,
which sucks because it in reality that kind of sucks because there's all these people who want to be like artists and stuff, but it's like like people who are really trying to be. Who actually, are trying to be professional artists, it's like we still don't get the respect because John can tell you, like we meet so many people out in the field, in that who are not talented. They just decide to become an artist overnight. And because they're good at like social media, like they'll get a following like out of nowhere,
right? Right.
So it's like it's kind of funny, like with that side of it. But then people who are really good at art, don't have the amount of followers that maybe some
good guy that's good. It's crazy to me that like someone can get onto social media at this point, like if they hit the right hashtags and have like the right pictures, they can gain so many followers. Or if you just post a girl with a nice ass. But like, how does like I don't even understand. Like, there's so many people now that are just. I mean, Instagram's made it super easy too because you can post a picture and it might not be the best picture, but you can edit it on Instagram with the lighting and all that and make it look better.
Yeah,
than it really is too.
Yeah.
It's just like interesting to me that how like social media now, especially Instagram, you can become famous overnight with the right, hitting the right hashtags and steps in terms of what you post and when you post it.
Yeah, if you look on Instagram and you look up like female artists out there,
oh my gosh,
you'll see a list of female artists that are like always trying to like they're kind of exposing something, like their cleavage or something like that, trying to like get the likes, and they're like, and that's the stuff that kind of sucks because you can have like a girl who is like, she's not as pretty. She's just kind of like your typical girl artist, but she's not like, she's not like a fitness model.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and she'll probably be really good at her art. Like, she'll be amazing. And the girl who gets all the likes is the one that's like, that looks like some like fitness, like yoga hipster,
right.
like artist that just kind of like threw some paint on a canvas,
Right, but then threw in a couple pictures where you're like, oh my gosh, she's actually attractive.
Yeah, and that's how it is now with like the art scene, which is kind of like, it's kind of stupid,
You know where you see that a lot too? You see a lot of like moderately good looking chicks just diving in on like cosplay or like posting stuff where they're with comics, and it's like, and they get so many followers just because all the nerds out there are just like, oh my gosh, this is a hot girl that likes what I like. This is like seeing a unicorn, and they just start following. It's crazy to me.
I think that's how it all started.
What, that hot girls found out that if they delved into the stuff that the nerds or the designers or the artists like.
Because I remember that all starting from like G4.
Oh yeah, the G4 definitely would. They just put hot girls to host the shows.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend about that the other day, and back in the days, like if you remember G4 when it first started, a lot of girls were just average. They weren't like super hot, but they were real nerds. There were girls who loved video gaming, like they love games.
Right,
like,
I remember that. Yeah, it was just like legit girls.
Yeah, and then there was only one hot girl that was really into video games, and it was Morgan Webb, And then, like, because of her, they decided to, like, let's throw in a playmate, like,
right.
On, like, Attack of the Show, or we'll throw in, like, Olivia Munn because she's, like, super hot,
right. Then they went with, like, Olivia Munn and brought in, like, Sarah Underwood and these girls that, I mean, who knows if they actually like the stuff that we like or not, but they're definitely really hot.
Yeah, they were really hot. I mean, Olivia Munn, she wasn't into that stuff, man.
Was she not? I don't know. I don't know if she was or wasn't.
I remember there was one year at E3, they were like kind of like asking at the end of the show, like at the end of E3, they were asking everybody, what was your favorite game? And everyone's telling them what their favorite game was. And then they went to Olivia Munn, and she was like, I loved everything. Because she doesn't care about these games.
Yeah, that's true. I'm looking up like her background, and she just wanted to be a reporter, a sports reporter, and then she just got a break with G4, and it sparked her career.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna lie, I love looking at her.
She's fantastic to look at.
Yeah, like, even when she used to dress up in costumes, it was like the best thing.
Oh, I mean, they knew what they were. That's the thing. Like with you, like you mentioned with G4, like they would put these not actresses, but these models on, and then put them in cosplay outfits, and the comic book, the female comic book characters were always drawn hypersexualized. So that's just like a living fantasy for a nerd or any guy, really. Yeah,
because nerds started thinking like in reality. Like, nerds are, like, thinking, wow, girls actually like playing video games. Like,
right.
But then, like, I don't know, like, later on, it's like, oh, it got kind of, like, to a point where people started thinking that, but I don't know, I guess some people can be mean to girls. But, like...
People are definitely pretty mean to girls.
Yeah.
It's hard to, like, even... I mean, there's people that are really mean to girls, but then girls get a lot of leeway, too, like... There's way more girls out there that are out there just relying upon their looks.
Yeah.
And
it's like
being famous for nothing else other than working out a lot and being blessed with a good face.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like that they get away with so much, but then like I don't know. Like it just kind of sucks because like the people who really want to do the stuff get kind of like pushed to the back, you know? I mean, that's just reality when it comes down to like the workforce, I guess, like, you know, like when you're out in the real world, you know, because like I see it all the time with, you know, with not just girls, but guys too, you know? Like you can be a guy who's like fit and like, you know, a hipster or something like that. And it's just like, if you're like very like hipster-ish and stuff, like automatically people think that you're like some genius artist or something. You're a really good artist,
right?
You know.
Right.
But it's like, but that's the thing, that there's a lot of guys out there that do that. They come off very hipster looking. They're, you know, but then like
it's a whole image now.
Yeah, and then they think that people like automatically assume that they're an artist, and it's just like, but like all they do is just throw some paint on a canvas.
Yeah, what makes you like? Does that really qualify? I got a funny thing. Have you heard of Soho House?
No.
So Soho House is in, I believe it started. I don't know where it started. I think it's in like London, or it started in London, but it's like a members only club or a hotel / club. Okay, and I'm looking up where it started. Originally in Soho, London. So it originated in London, and now there's houses in like Chicago, West Hollywood, Miami, Toronto, New York City, blah blah blah, a bunch of places. And it's an exclusive club or hotel or venue, workout facility, social place for artists and people in media. So there's one in Chicago, and one of my friends is the member there. So you have to pay, you have to apply to go to the one to become a member there. And then you have to get like vouched by 2 other members. It's like this whole deal where you have to apply and get vouched by other people and prove that you're in the arts or media realm. So my friend is in the Soho House in Chicago, and he occasionally he'll bring me there as his guest. And one time I went right after work, and I was wearing a tie. And a jacket. Just not thinking anything of it, and I walk in, and it was like one of the guys from Tribe Called Quest was spinning that night,
cool.
It was kind of cool. So I walk in, and the door lady's like, "Hey, you can come in, but you have to take off your tie." I'm like, "What? Why?" She's like, "That's our dress code. There's no business clothing here." I'm like, "All right." I took off my tie and put it in my pocket, but it's funny that you mentioned like a certain look for hipsters in art, and I'm like, so you guys don't want, like, you guys are almost catering to now a certain look. Like, this is how you have to look to be here, to be considered artsy. Like, artsy people can't wear ties. I don't know. It's just strange to me.
Yeah, like it's funny though, because like actually I was just talking to another artist about that lately, and it's just like now, like, it's like, because I guess like the younger generation, the hipsters and stuff like that, it's like they do all these weird things now that, like, you know, back in the days, like, you know, it would be kind of weird. It had a whole different meaning. You know, like we were talking about tattoos. Like now, for some reason, everybody has a tattoo now. You know, and back when I was growing up, if you had a tattoo, usually meant you were like a gangster or some shit.
Sure.
You know? So it's
when were you growing up? Just so there's reference.
I grew up in the late 80s, 90s.
Okay.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
I'm gonna be 40 soon.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you're about 10 years older than me.
Yeah, I'm getting old.
But you're Asian. You don't look old.
Yeah, that's the only good thing about it. Every time I tell people how old I am, like, people, like, they're like, "What? I thought you were like in your late 20s or 30s." I'm like, "Oh, that's good."
Yeah, right. When people ask me how old I am, and I tell them, they were always like, "I thought you were in your early 20s." I'm like, "Oh, dude." They're like, "Sorry, I thought you were younger." I'm like, "Don't say sorry. That's an amazing compliment. I hope I keep this look forever."
Yeah.
I'm only half white, so you got the full on Asian
Yeah, but that's the funny thing though, because like all the Asians think I'm half white.
Oh, for real? Do you have a paler complexion? Oh, I'm looking at. Yeah, I guess you do.
Yeah, well, I have like features that your typical Asian like wouldn't have. Like, I guess like one of the biggest features is like I'm really hairy. Like, I could grow a full beard.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, like most Asians can't even do that.
No,
like,
I got the bad Asian stash where it doesn't connect in the middle.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it's terrible. It's absolutely awful.
I have like really curly hair. Like, which most Asians are like, all the female Asians out there, they get super jealous because they're like, "Is your hair naturally curly?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know why."
Those are two non-typical Asian features right off the bat.
Yeah, it's weird, man, because it's like even people when they see me, they're like, because I'm bigger than your normal Asian too. Mm-hmm. Like to most Asians, I'm like really tall,
mm-hmm.
So it's like I'm 6 feet, so like.
Oh wow, yeah, you're tall for an because I'm 6 foot too, and I get the you're tall. I'm like typical white people height, but all right.
Yeah, I was getting it growing up all my life. Like when I was in high school, people used to tell me like, "You remind me of like Keanu Reeves," and I'm like, "Really?" He's like, because like Keanu Reeves is like half Asian, half white,
right?
So, everyone used to always think I was like half white. But it's just funny.
I'm on your Facebook, and I see you got your logo is the Punisher, the skull, and you have as your background Frank Castle from season 2. Like, yeah. I gotta get your. Did you finish the Punisher season 2?
Yeah, that's why I put all that stuff.
What'd you think? Obviously, you probably liked it.
Oh man, season 2 is like it was amazing. I loved season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like finally gave me what I wanted to see. What the Punisher does.
Just him kicking ass.
Just him going around, just beating the shit out of him.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say it. I enjoyed season 2 as well for that reason. I didn't like some of the storyline decisions in terms of like what's his face, Jigsaw. But overall, I mean, it was if you're a Punisher fan, I can't see how you wouldn't like the way he was.
Oh yeah. It's like that was the only part that was probably. I mean, I was never like crazy about the whole like they were like military buddies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like Jigsaw better when he's like a mobster,
Mm-hmm.
It's like I like Punisher better when he's going after the mob.
Yeah.
Like I'm not crazy about the whole conspiracy thing, but at least this season he was actually doing Punisher stuff. Like he was actually going around killing people.
Oh yeah. Well, and the fact that he like right away in the first episode he kind of just was like he sees trouble and he's all in right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean that's like the funny thing is like watching that it's like you when you watch the Punisher you're kind of like thinking like this is the kind of stuff I want to do to people. Like, when I'm pissed off. Like,
oh, he's like the next level of what you could do to people all pissed off. Did you I think I heard from Bilotti, but what did you think of Iron Fist?
Iron Fist? Not a fan of Iron Fist.
Did you end up watching both seasons?
Yeah, I watched both seasons.
Yeah.
I just felt like, it's just weak.
It was bad.
It was bad.
It was bad, man. And I remember there was a lot of debate before, too, about them casting an Asian actor. And I was all in. I was like, let's do it. Let's make Iron Fist Asian. And now watching these past 2 seasons, I'm just fucking glad we didn't make him Asian. That would have been a terrible representation of what
because
what we're looking for.
You know why? Like, and this is what I've been saying too. Like, it's funny because like when people were saying like they wanted an Asian Iron Fist, like they wanted someone to like cast an Asian person to be Iron Fist.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, because they never did that in the comic.
So you're true to the comic on all this stuff.
Yeah, I'm true to the comic, but then at the same time, I don't want that to happen because, like, it's never been interpreted by an Asian writer, you know? It's like,
yeah.
You know, it's like all these years from Marvel, you have all these, like, white dudes writing all these different races, but it's like, you know, if I want something from, like, an Asian character, you know, I would rather an Asian person who understands Asian, like, you know,
subtleties, like lived the life of someone in those shoes.
To write it in a movie or TV show, so it does represent us, you know. But if it's just like some random thing where they just make it up on, you know, it's like it's not gonna feel like genuine, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just gonna feel like some white guy wrote it, you know. It's like, and then it's no different from like those movies that, you know, what are those movies? Those movies called back in the days, the black exploitation movies.
Black exploitation, all those exploitation films. You have black exploitation, and there's like kung fu exploitation movies. Yeah,
but yeah, it's that's basically, you know, it's like that's how I felt about it, you know. And it's just like I would rather, you know, it be, you know, if they are gonna do an Asian character, if they were gonna do Iron Fist Asian, you know, it's like then they would have to get someone, you know, like good. I mean, to write it or something, you know, like
right. Someone that's kind of lived it.
Yeah, especially if they're gonna deal with Asian culture. That's why I rather, like, if a white guy's gonna write it, I'd rather they don't try to explain Asian culture. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To like an American audience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's gonna be lost in translation.
Yeah, because it's like you don't hang out with, like, if you don't hang out with Asian people, then you wouldn't know how Asian people are. You know? It
is different, like growing up here as half Asian, but you know, growing up, you like I would say I do typical American things, but then the home life is different for sure.
Yeah,
you know, especially when I hang out with the Asian side, it's you do live a different life than, you know, your white family. I remember, like, as a kid going to school and having my lunch packed, and everyone would have sandwiches packed, and I would have like a little Tupperware with rice and chicken or beef.
I still do that.
Well, I remember that happening, and I'd be like, "Mom, we can't pack this anymore. Like, give me a sandwich."
Yeah, and then when you open up the Tupperware, like, the whole place smells. Yeah.
I was like, "Mom, we can't do this anymore. Like, I'm the only one that's going to school that has Tupperware that has to go in the microwave. Everyone's just pulling out their sandwich and eating it."
And then, like, you're like, she'll give you like an Asian pastry or something, and put it in, and then when you take it out, everyone's like looking at you like, "What the hell are you eating?"
Right.
It's like, and you try to like scarf it down really fast because you don't want people to think you're eating something gross or something.
Yeah, right. I remember those days, but now it's crazy. Like at work, I don't know if this is the same for you, but at work now, like anybody, like people will bring whatever. Like there's no one's eating sandwiches now. Everyone's bringing like. They'll bring their leftover Chinese or like, you know, leftover steaks or leftover, you know, any sort of like I've seen everything in terms of like food now that people eat for lunch.
Yeah, that's the one thing about being an adult.
It doesn't matter now, right?
It doesn't matter anymore.
Now it's just about like, putting food in your belly.
Yeah, now it's like people when they do smell it, they're like, "What are you eating? That smells so good."
Right. And then, like if you bring a sandwich, like now, like. It's to the point where if you bring a sandwich and that's your lunch, and someone asks you what's for lunch, you're almost like destroyed when you have to be like, "Oh, I brought a sandwich." Like you didn't bring anything cool. You're not eating like anything that's better than a sandwich. You poor motherfucker.
Yeah, that's funny.
It's funny how the tables have turned on that stuff. But yeah, I remember growing up, like, going back to the point of living in Asia. Like you wouldn't know that if you were a white person. No. Unless you just were around Asian people all the time. You wouldn't know that the embarrassment of like bringing smelly food to lunch.
It's funny. It's like I was just talking to John about it recently because that movie that came out last year, Crazy Rich Asians.
Did you like that movie?
Oh yeah, I loved the
Good.
movie.
Yeah, I liked it too. So we can agree on that.
Yeah. Like John was like asking me all these questions. It's like, is that really how Asian people are? And I'm like, yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's a whole different world, man. Like, like you guys, think it's like it's the same with everyone. It's like with Asians, it's like it's a whole different standard, dude. Like
the mom being like the most important thing for an Asian boy, his mom is everything.
Yeah. I mean, we're taught to be like that,
right? We're taught to respect, and we're taught to, we're taught to be mama's boys, even more so than I think most other cultures, in my opinion.
Yeah, my ex-girlfriend actually hated that. She was always like on my back about, how I was like such a mama's boy. I'm like, isn't that a good thing?
Right? Isn't that what girls want? Don't they want someone that treats their mother well?
Because that means they're going to treat you well.
Right,
That's the same way they're going to treat you. Like, yeah, that's why she's my ex.
Are you currently single?
Yeah, I'm single now.
So you're single, so if anyone on our Patreon likes Humphrey Ching, give him a little shout. He's single, ladies. I don't know. It's mostly dudes that listen to this, so who knows?
I'm actually like one of the dudes that actually like is enjoying his freedom.
Oh yeah, you enjoy. I'm actually recently single as well, and I'm like, it's fun again. Like, not that women are bad, but it's just nice to not have to feel like tied to anything.
But you know what's funny about that? It's like it's a big like thing now. Like, there's a lot of guys that are going this route. And it's like they're starting to realize that being single is sometimes a lot more funner.
Oh, it's definitely more fun at times.
Yeah, because you don't have anything to tie you down anymore and get on your back about stupid things.
Like, why aren't you giving me attention, or why didn't you do this or that? Bitch, I'll do this when I want to do this.
Why aren't you like being nice to me anymore?
Right. It's like, are you mad at me? Like, no. What?
I just got off of work.
Right. Well, you're speaking to me in a certain tone. What tone? What are you talking about? Why are we overanalyzing everything? Oh my gosh, I could go on and on about women.
It's another full-time job.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's the thing about being in a relationship is what I've learned is you have to be committed. You cannot half-ass that shit.
No, man. It's like, freaking, you gotta give it your all. If you don't, I mean, it's true though, man. Like, every relationship is like, it's work. You gotta put work into it. If you don't, then, it's just gonna...
It'll show.
Yeah, like...
Someone will notice.
Yeah, it's just not gonna go anywhere.
Right.
It's just gonna be the same all the time. That's why now there's so many people who get divorced,
Yeah, it's high. The rate is high right now.
Yeah, people just don't, they're not... I mean, we live in a whole new generation now where like, even women now are like, they're more free than they used to be. And they have, they're more independent. So like, with them, their standards are higher now. Like, they don't go by the ways that like our parents or grandparents went through, like back in the days where, it was like you get married and, you have kids and you stay together, I mean, maybe not our parents, but maybe grandparents, like, like where, people work at it and it's all about family,
right?
But today it's not about that anymore. It's about, everyone wanting to have their own freedom,
right?
Like fun, If they're not having fun, they don't want to be in the relationship, and it's just like, relationships aren't fun.
I would agree. There's sometimes they are not fun. What the thing about like relationships is like they have to continue to be, as you mentioned, fun, exciting. Once you get into that stage where it's not, it's tough. And you, like you said, it's not like the old days where it was almost taboo to get out of one. Now in work, you have to work at it. Now it's like, well, fuck it. Half the nation gets a divorce, whatever. As long as we didn't sign any prenups.
Yeah, that's the scary thing, man.
Right.
And that's the one thing about getting married today, man, because I've seen so many people, like a lot of my friends in the past few years get divorced, and it's just horrible,
Yeah.
It's just like, it's so much money involved too, where it's just like, it's just like, every time I think about it, like I hear them talk about it, and I'm just like, this is why I don't want to get married,
right?
But in Asian culture, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, most cultures, but I think in Asian, specifically, we're kind of like taught to like continue our to pass down our legacy, I guess, right?
Right.
Like to keep, because I'm like the last of my family or something, like, one of the last ones in my family, and my dad was like the oldest son, so like technically I'm like kind of like, heir to the throne in a way, right? So it's like I have to pass the name down,
right? Yeah, no, there is that pressure.
Yeah, and everybody's like waiting for me to get married, but I'm like I don't know if I want to.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. I'm 31. And I've already started to feel the pressure from my mom, who's the Asian one, who's like, when am I going to get some grandchildren? And I was like, we'll see. I'm not in any hurry. Let's just put it that way. And yeah. She would definitely not approve, or not necessarily approve, but she wouldn't like if I had any children without being married first.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that'd be a whole thing. Yeah.
So is your mom Asian? Like your mom?
She's Filipino. Yeah.
Okay. And your dad's
my dad's Polish, but he's like 4th generation American, so he's just basically white.
Okay.
He's was American.
Was your mom 1st generation?
Or? No, she was born in the Philippines, so I'm like the first one to get over here. I was born here.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's different. Like, I'm definitely, I have the white and the Asian features, so when I'm out, people don't know what I am, which is always kind of nice. It's interesting though. Like the white people don't think I'm white, and the Filipinos don't think I'm Asian. They think I'm white. So there's always this like battle of like, oh, what the fuck are you? Which is an interesting way to go about life. But luckily, I think I ended up with some decent genes, so I look all right. So it ended up working out in my favor. and I'm like tall for an Asian, so I'm like 6 foot. I'm fairly athletic, so I can break out of that Asian mold pretty easily.
So let me ask you something. Do you date mostly white girls, or do you date Asian girls?
I've found that I date mostly Asian girls, and I think it has something to do with the fact that I'm just a big mama's boy. So I think, not that I'm trying to date my mom, but it's just that culture of, well, like I just feel more comfortable with it, but I wouldn't be opposed to dating a white girl.
Yeah, no, same here.
It's just something, it's just naturally, I've just always, like when it's like playtime, I can play around with any girl or whatever. But when I'm like looking at being serious, I'm like, I just tend to find Filipino girls or Asian girls.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like same here. Like for me, it's like, like I feel like I would get along more with white girls because I'm more like Americanized,
right?
And when with for some reason I always end up dating Asian girls because I don't know, maybe it's because of we share the same culture and we have a lot of stuff like relatable to each other.
Yeah.
but it's like it's just weird. It's just like, but it's like, you know, I've dated white girls too, but like but yeah, it's like they were okay. Like, you know,
I kind of agree with you in that. Like, so like for instance, one of the last Asian girls I dated was Filipino, and I think I'd actually do better with white girls because like her whole thing was like being like chaste, like the movies, like the way Asian women are, you know, like in the movies, the Asian guy does like everything for the girl, you know, like is like bends over backwards for the girl. And I'm not saying I wouldn't do that, but you know, it's a little over the top. It's a little like cheesy and like overly romantic and a little melodramatic. And like I'm not that kind of guy. So I think I'd do better with white girls because they're not necessarily expecting that generally, that over the top, like romance.
That's so funny that you said that because like, yeah, all the Asian girls that I date, like they really want the whole romantic thing.
Yeah,
they really want that.
It gets kind of stressful.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, like, you know, it's like we had our fun time, you know, when we were like when we had puppy love, but now it's like it's a real world time, like,
right?
Like, you know, like
I completely agree. It's like, yeah, I'm doing this, like, you know, we're in, you know, falling in love or falling in like or whatever you want to call it. But like, you expect me to constantly do this? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, I remember the first time I went out on a date with an Asian girl, and right away she's like, "You're not walking curbside." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "You're not walking curbside." I'm like, "Oh, is that a thing?" She's like, "Yeah, you're a man. You're supposed to walk curbside to protect me." I'm like, "Oh, all right."
Yep.
And then it's like every time I didn't open the door in my car because like I just didn't know. It was noticed. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yep, Asian girls.
They notice it. Like they expect you to like literally get out of the car if you pick them up, open the door, then get in.
All you like non-Asian guys.
Yeah,
out there,
take note.
Want to date an Asian girl? They're high maintenance.
So high maintenance. Like, oh my gosh.
Like, just be aware of that.
They want that movie romance.
Yeah, and then the white girls I date, they're like, it's funny because like they're borderline. Like some of them are like borderline. Like, can I take her home and meet my mom? Because I don't think my mom.
Right. Like, what the fuck? I'm lucky though then that like if my mom had that reaction, I'm like, "Ma, you married a white guy."
Yeah.
You though, like on the other hand, that'd be a little more of a conversation.
Yeah, because it's funny because like now when you watch like Crazy Rich Asians, now people can see like how an Asian mother is.
Oh yeah.
Because that's exactly how my mom is.
Oh, I
like,
bet.
You know, and it's not just towards like white girls or, you know, it's towards every girl, even Asian girls.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And it's like if it's like, but she's not gonna be like that if you're poor or something.
Right.
She's just gonna be like that if she doesn't like you.
Right.
You know, like, and that's just not. It's not just my mom. It'd be my aunts.
Right.
You know, it'd be a lot of, you know, my cousins. Like,
yeah, it'd be a whole thing.
Yeah, because they're, you know, and it's funny because it's like you don't think about this. But in reality, I mean, yeah, we're not as the fantasy side of that movie is like these guys were living like royalty, you know. But in reality, like Asians are kind of, you know, like your family is kind of successful in a way because most of your family members are usually somewhat successful on something, right?
Right.
Like some of them are like, you know, they're working for some corporate company or they're doctors or lawyers or something like that. So it's like, you know, so there's something that you have to like kind of like there's a lot of comparing in Asian families.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You know, so it's like
it's all about status and what did you achieve, and the thing is I've noticed is it's, every time you're in an Asian family and you get introduced, I remember just being introduced to other aunts or relatives, and they'd be like, this is my son. He does this, this, this. He's got going to this school. And it's always like this bragging fest.
Mm-hmm. It's always like, yeah, growing up, it's always like my cousins. Oh, he's number one in his class and da-da-da.
Right.
He got some kind of like, award for this and that. And just like, and then my dumbass was like, oh, my son got an art award.
And they're like, what? What? When is he going to stop playing around?
Exactly. It's like, was he gonna do for the rest of his life? That's what my friend told me, my Asian friend told me. Like when we were in college, and then we was talking about like, he was asking me what am I planning to do when I get out of college, and I'm like I don't know, I wasn't sure at that time, but I knew I wanted to do something with art,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like. But at the time, I was working at like a magic shop, and he's like
a magic, like the Gathering, or magic like tricks.
Magic tricks,
okay,
like in Soho in New York City.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and he's like telling me like, dude, like you can't just like, he's like, what are you planning to do with yourself? Like, are you gonna like keep talking about Batman for the rest of your life? And I'm like I would like to.
Yeah, is that a job? Can I do that?
It's like, if I could do that, I'd do it.
That'd be a hell of a career to just talk about Batman your entire life.
Well, the funny thing is, I do that a lot. That is part of my career.
That's awesome.
It's like, yeah.
Well, it's getting a little late. We'll wrap this up. When's your next con?
Actually, I'm doing one in March, the weekend of March 1st to 3rd in West Palm Beach.
Which con is it?
Comic-Con Revolution.
So Comic-Con Revolution, for anyone that's out in the West Coast, can go and meet Humphrey Ching and potentially buy some prints, huh?
Yeah,
nice.
I sell posters.
Posters. Nice.
Yeah. And, now you can find me and John at MegaCon this May.
Oh, nice. So, John Bellotti will be at MegaCon.
Yeah, me and him, we always share a table at MegaCon. So
nice.
Yeah, he's kind of pissed right now if you talk to him.
Why is that?
Like, because G Fest.
Oh yeah, I'm aware of G Fest. Yeah, they're weird, man. They don't run. I don't know what's going on with them.
Yeah, did you hear about it?
Yeah, like, they're doing like a like 33% of your stuff can only be Toho, and you can only sell 30 prints of anything you have from Toho. They're just really worried about Toho for some reason.
Yeah,
which is funny to me because, I mean, legally, I guess you can't really do that. You can't profit off of other people's IP, but I don't think Toho gives a flying fuck what's going on in Chicago.
None of these freaking cons do.
And all the cons are based off selling other people's shit, right?
Yeah, it's like if they don't have that, then like how are they going to have a con? Because most people who go to cons, they go to Artist Alley to buy artwork,
right?
It's like because it's affordable artwork,
right?
And that's why they call it Artist Alley,
right? Yeah, you're like this whole like I've read some of the G Fest stuff, and they're trying to like push people towards non-Toho original artwork and all that stuff, and I'm just like, but no one's going to G Fest, which is Godzilla Fest here in Chicago. No one's going there to buy Wolverine or like some original artwork.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of strange. I don't understand why they're so up in arms about Toho spying on them or something.
Yeah, John's like bummed out.
It's a shitty situation because, John and some other artists that I know that go to that, most of their work is Toho related stuff, or they, that's how they make, like, most of the stuff they sell is the Toho related stuff. And now you can only sell 30 prints, or a third of your display is only Toho and the rest has to be other stuff. That's rough. That makes you second guess coming out here.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of these artists. like he was telling me, are like now they have to find other shows to do because that was like one of their like big shows that they used to do every year.
Right. It's really unfortunate.
A lot of Godzilla fans are going to be disappointed this year. I'll tell you that.
I think so. Well, Humphrey, it's late where you're at, so we'll let you go. But let's do this again though sometime.
Yeah, man. Anytime.
All right. Cool, man.
Thank you for having me on.
Hey, no problem, man.